get out. Preparing your space means, I think, getting out everything that you need to be successful in your reading. You might want to put music on. Might want to take music off. Might want to go to the library. There's so many ways to prepare to be successful in reading, so that your mind can be active. Reading is not a passive thing in college. It has to be active, thinking, pondering, asking questions, writing questions that come up as you read. All these things are essential when you're reading with purpose. One of the key, most easy things you can do to read well in college and retain information is to pre-read. And this is what most students do not do. Some students prepare their space and get ready, but pre-reading is the key element that most don't do. Go to the end, navigate to the end of the book or the reading or the digital reading. Read the summary. Usually there's a summary at the end of the chapter. Read the things in highlighted. Look over the diagrams and try and guess what they're saying. All sorts of things. Read the topic headings first and really understand what is this topic talking about, and try and predict what the topic is talking about. All the words in bold, all the little summaries, all the graphics, all the charts, everything. Try to predict where the chapter will go. Then when you're reading, you have a mindset. You have a mind frame that you're already in fully. And as you read, underline, write questions, write notes in the margins, highlight. Make the reading active, not just like you'd read a novel and you're kind of listening for the characters and what they're saying. When you're reading for information, textbook reading, make your mind as active as possible. Put question marks for things you don't understand. Highlight those and make a note to ask the instructor. Mark that book up as much as possible. Get a new book whenever you can and mark it up. When somebody else has marked it up, that's their ideas, that's their thoughts. Get your book going. Then another key element is some people do that when they're reading. Few people pre-read, and even fewer people after they read detox and talk about what did I just read, and when they do, they retain a lot more information. Write a summary of what you've read. Use a KWL graphic, and I'll talk about that in a second. Write outlines, create concept maps, use Venn diagrams. Do something to solidify what you've read. Whenever you can, try and reteach yourself what you've read. Teach it to other people. Try and tie it back to what you already know. All those strategies are going to make you much more effective at reading. When I say effective at reading, I'm saying you retain what you read. Why read it if you're not going to retain it? All of us have read through a whole bunch of stuff because it was a required reading and we didn't understand any of it. What's the point? In fact, most people do better just by reading the summary than reading the whole thing mindlessly. So think about that. KWL charts, like this KWL chart, is really good to activate what you already know. So before you read anything, if the topic is research methods, then write what you already know about research methods. Well, I know you need to have a hypothesis, you need to have a research question, you can write that there. Then what do I wonder? What do I still need to know about? How do you write a discussion, or how do you write a conclusion, or something like that? Put that here. What do I wonder about? And then what did I learn from this reading? There has to be something that I came up with. And so this is pre-reading, and then you read, and then what did I actually learn from this? And this activates your mind. Studying is slightly different than reading. I mean, you can read to study, but studying is you're preparing for that exam, and you need to do it well ahead of time. Prepare your space, bring your notes, bring your graphics, bring any lab notes, bring your colored pencils. Give yourself enough time. Don't cram right up before the night of the test. It's spreading out your study that's going to make you way more effective. Double or triple your study time per week for every credit hour you have. So you're taking 4 credit hours. Actually, you probably take 6 credit hours, 2 classes. You need to study 12 hours at least. Some classes you're going to want to triple. Meet with tutors if you want to bounce your ideas off of them, and practice relaxation and visualization techniques before your test to reduce your anxiety. Visualize yourself getting an A, and that will calm your nerves and instill you with confidence. When you do poorly, it's typically because you start freaking out, your anxiety goes up, and then you forget all that you already know. Visualize success and you'll remember what you studied. Try to predict test questions. Quiz yourself. That's one of the best study tactics. Just reading over notes isn't good enough. Try to quiz yourself. And then quiz others. Teach others the content. And when you do teach others, they learn a lot. You learn a lot. Grade your friends' quizzes that you've created. a few different paradigms for note-taking and different methods: mind maps, Venn diagrams, Cornell notes. And taking notes electronically can be effective. A lot of research shows that taking notes by hand is more effective because you're more active note-taking. Your mind is more active instead of just, when you take notes on a computer, sometimes you're just actually taking a transcription, writing word for word what the instructor says. But taking notes by hand can be more effective that way. But I have to say that I've taken notes on the computer, and it's helped me through some classes, especially if you have open note exams and you can go back and do a keyword search for certain things. Computer notes can be very effective as well, but for the most part, handwritten notes is more active note-taking. You're doing more active learning in that environment. So let's take a look at a mind map. Here's an example of a sports mind map, and it's basically where you can see visually an outline of your notes. You create a main topic, subtopics like you would in an outline, and then the related concepts to that subtopic. And it's a way of organizing your notes visually. Mind maps can be very effective for creating a visual image in your mind of a lot of information in a small space. Very good for helping you review for an exam, things of that nature. Venn diagrams are good if you have two related concepts and you need to ferret out the differences and similarities of those concepts. This can be true in a lot of medical classes, but for example, a biological class, wildlife biology, you have birds and bats. We want to recognize that birds lay eggs where bats have live birth. How they're the same, though, is they both have two legs, they're warm-blooded, they fly, they have wings, and so there are some similarities. Venn diagrams are great for that, comparing and contrasting two concepts. A very effective way to take notes is the Cornell method, where you have your notes column, where you just take whatever notes normally you do with an instructor, a recall column or a question column where you write questions or highlight important concepts. I draw a lot of arrows to my notes here, and this is just kind of things out of all this messy note. These are the things that are key for me to remember. That's how I do it. And then at the bottom you write a little summary of everything that you've learned. And a very effective way to pull up those notes again for when you're studying for an exam. A lot of people use this Cornell method for each and every class, and if you just put Cornell method online and search, you can find lots of templates that you can print off and use yourself. If you're thinking about using electronic notes, pause the recording and go to this website. This YouTube video will explain how OneNote works, which is a very powerful note-taking software from Microsoft that can really help you out and allows you to create an outline quickly and easily as you take notes. And if you're going to take notes with your computer, utilize what you know about note-taking, writing down the key information, not every word from the instructor, and you might want to use a note-taking software like OneNote. Okay, just quickly, a couple keys to success at Yavapai. In history, I've outlined here some of the tougher classes at Yavapai. In history, you have to really use these reading strategies. You really have to read the textbook and cite your sources. Do not plagiarize. Those are keys. In math, use office hours. My Math Lab is a software that they use to teach you everything in math, and when that's not enough, go to the instructor and get help in person. Math can feel somewhat isolating, so use those resources. In English, you have to cite your sources well, so you have to use MLA citation. Organize your paper and focus especially on your thesis statement. That is key. note, another huge thing to remember is there's lots of reading and lots of writing. So procrastinating your writing is a really big mistake. You want to be able to write well ahead of the deadlines. So be a good time manager in English classes. Science classes are huge. The students that do the best in science classes are there for the lecture, and then they're there for the application of that lecture in the lab. So make sure you're there for lab and lecture. Being in class is so important in science classes. In lab, you work in lab groups, so that can automatically lead to a study group. Students that do the best in science classes at Yavapai, especially chemistry and some of the more difficult sciences, work together in study groups. Finally, make sure that you utilize it as a group effort. Remember that almost all of us are addicted in some form or another to our technology, typically our smartphones. Remember that our brains are hardwired for this searching behavior that phones lead us to. It's so easy to search and find, and there's an endorphin rush and almost an adrenaline rush that comes from finding something online. So remember, your phone is designed to addict you to that phone. There's no stopping cue for a phone. You know, bottomless Facebook feeds and Instagram feeds don't tell us it's time to quit. So when it's time to study, turn off your phone, put it in a different room, get an app that sends a message to your friends that says, sorry, I'm studying, I'll get back to you soon. There are lots of apps that do this. There's also apps that do that for when you're driving. It will say, hey, I'm driving, I'll get back to you soon. And set those apps so that you can study totally, completely uninterrupted. In the back of your mind, you're not thinking about people you're missing getting back with. Don't multitask. Focus on one thing at a time. Lots of research shows that you don't multitask well, and that you do a little bit here and there and nothing gets done. So recognize that technology will really hinder you if you're addicted. Put it away. Turn off notifications, push notifications till you graduate, and get to notifications when you want to, not when it pops up, so it derails your thinking. However, that being said, lots of technology really helps us in today's world, especially as a college student. One thing that you must have is cloud storage. You want to be able to store something locally, but at the same time through Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, you'll be able to store it to the cloud, so that if something happens to your computer, if your computer crashes, you can download those documents and files directly again, and you haven't missed a beat. Also, you can go to any computer on campus, access Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive or Box or whatever you're going to use, and you'll be able to pull up documents from anywhere. You need this more than ever as a college student. This is real computing where you utilize the productivity that's available. So use some sort of cloud storage for your documents. By the same token, you need citation software, like Zotero is a free one and it's online, web browser based, or you can get an application for your or a program for your computer like EndNote, and through those you'll be able to store, like curate a library of your research articles. Say you're doing a research paper on how vaccines promote autism, whether you believe that or not. Say you're doing a research article on that, research paper on that for English. You'll be able to store all of your research articles in one spot with EndNote, and then it automatically can help you insert APA formatted citations or MLA formatted citations or Chicago formatted citations, whatever you want. So you need to use something. EndNote's more expensive, but there are free ones like Zotero. Same token, social bookmarking sites like Digo, Delicious, Pinterest is a social bookmarking site, allows you to curate like a library of your internet sites into one spot and be able to pull it up with a keyword search. You need Pinterest or some sort of social bookmarking site, and then you can share them with your group if you're doing like a research assignment. There's lots of really good apps for learning, like Khan Academy, Quizlet lets you do flashcards. Get those. You also can do office computing. You click on that little rocket on the yc.edu homepage after you sign in, and you can access online Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. You can also do cloud.yc.edu and log into a Yavapai College computer from your home computer and utilize all of the software applications that are available on your Yavapai College computer from home. You want to manage your passwords somehow. There are hundreds of passwords you'll probably need. What else? Learn PowerPoint and other presentation softwares. Also take time now to learn keyboard shortcuts.